Welcome back to another edition of NBA Fantasy Baller DFS Edition Value Picks, brought to you by ResearchFantasy.com. For Sunday, April 9th, 2017, I'm your host, Nick from CWE, and I'm here to bring you my very early 3 favorite tournament plays of the day. Why do I word it like that? Well, we're at the point in the season where you're probably not going to know until like an hour before tip-off exactly where the value is going to lie. Yesterday, I think around 2 o'clock, that's when New Orleans ruled out, Davis and Cousins and someone else. I don't remember who it was, but the moral of the story was it very clearly laid out how the value would play. I was absolutely shocked to see guys like Quinn Cook under-owned in tournaments when they had very few bodies to put on the floor. So Quinn Cook, Ian Clark on the other side with Golden State. Thank you very much. Your low ownership and good games really helped bring in the money last night, to be sure. So hopefully the same thing happens tonight. Since I'm using DraftKings, they're running a little bit of a shorter slate. FanDuel, I think, has 5 games, maybe 6. DraftKings only has 4. It's going to be very tough to find your edge in those games. We're still going to try to do it. But don't be surprised if these values change throughout the day. But let's start things off with J.J. Barea, 4,700 on DraftKings from the Dallas Mavericks going up against the Phoenix Suns. It just doesn't feel right to have the Suns on the schedule and not talk about a point guard. So that's what we're here to do. I mean, and you could put Ferrell in there, but you're just going to have to pay attention to see what happens with Dallas. There's a good chance that I think we already know that Harrison Barnes is going to be out, but there's a good chance that they're going to sit some other guys as well. Luckily on DraftKings, this is one of the first games being played. Well, 3 of them start at the same time. I don't think there's a ton you really need to worry about with the Minnesota Lakers game. I think you're going to find the same guys normally playing. So we'll know if Barea makes a good play. If he happens to sit out, it's pretty much just going to be full steam ahead on Yogi Ferrell. But whatever point guard starts for Dallas against the Phoenix Suns is the way to go tonight. Let's move on to Larry Nance Jr., and he's sitting at 5,300 on DraftKings. He's seeing opportunity with Ivica Zubac out. They've moved Julius Randle over to the 5, so Nance is playing a lot of the 3, but mostly the 4. Minnesota is a team that sometimes looks good in those defensive metric categories, but still gives up points, still allows players to put up massive fantasy performances against them. There's no reason you want to turn away from Larry Nance tonight. He's a guy who could definitely hit 6x value on this slate, and you'll want that. Plus, he's seeing consistent minutes, which is important. Finally, if you read our article on Friday night, which I put out a day before on Thursday night, I specifically said, hey, if Boban Marjanovic actually gets, 20 to 25 minutes, this dude's a monster. Our spreadsheet at 24 minutes had him projected at like 36 fantasy points. And he still somehow did better than this guy. Is a point per minute monster. I don't care who he's playing. Memphis is a good team, but it's just, again, I use the word attrition a lot. It's just attrition with him. He's going to be on the court, get minutes. He's going to fight guys like Gasol and Randolph, and quite frankly, he's not necessarily as good as them, but he's a big, big boy. And at his price, $4,900, you might as well expect like 90% ownership on this slate. So you have to consider if he's a fade at this point because everyone's going to have him, or if you just have to consider that spot in your lineup a dead spot. It hurts on FanDuel because you only get 1 center. You can end up with up to 4 centers on DraftKings because some of the centers have multi-position eligibility. But I still think Boban is in a good position. I probably think maybe like 28 to 30 fantasy points is a realistic output for him if he sees that 25-minute mark again. Don't be surprised if he sees more. Don't be surprised if he does more. So that'll wrap it up. Our favorite value plays for DraftKings today as of 11 a.m. J.J. Barea, Larry, Nance Jr., Boban Marjanovic, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel below. Head over to researchfantasy.com. Sign up for our NBA mailing list. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Research and Win. And join us again tomorrow.